All right, trying again. There he is. Jeff, I think if I do this, yeah, just hitting accept. Let's see. All right, maybe, Jeff, is there a little request to join? I keep inviting, but it's just bouncing it back. Let's see if I can request to join. Let's see. Hmm. All right. See if you see one in 3, 2, invited. Oh, it says Jeff Weissman's unable to join. Interesting. Unable. Well, we're going to take another pause here, I think, and then actually, something I can just look up. Yes, consent you don't see an invite if you're unable to join. I've never seen that before. Let's Google it. Riveting stuff here, guys. We're going to Google live on the air. And back to my internet snafu. Great. All right, requested, accepted. Accepted already. Accept. There it is. Hallelujah.
Yeah, I figure I should try to do this on my phone rather than the computer because
Oh, okay.
it wasn't working on the computer.
Well, how are you?
I'm pretty dazed. I just got in from seeing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 on IMAX.
How was it?
Exhausting.
I heard there's a lot of Rocket Raccoon background. Is that what I'm hearing? Like his whole story?
Oh, no spoilers.
Oh, okay. That's
It
just a
was
rumor. Just a rumor,
action-packed
unconfirmed.
as usual. It was pretty awesome.
That's great. Well, for everyone watching, we've actually never talked. Is it Jeff? Jeffrey is one better than the other?
No, they're both just as good.
Okay. I have so many friends named Jeff. My brain just keeps going there.
You know what? Professionally, it's Jeffrey. All my life growing up, it's been Jeff. But you know what? Some people, like my wife, when she says Jeffrey, I know she might be pissed.
You're in
I don't
trouble.
know. Yeah.
Yep. I grew up with that. Christopher. If I heard Christopher, it was bad news. Not good.
Christopher,
Christopher Matthew.
I just broke my foot on your Lego.
Well, everyone, I kind of just want to give you an opportunity to tell everyone what's going on, who you are, and then I can kind of follow up with why I pursued you to try to get you to do this tonight.
Yeah, I'm hoping we would figure out how I can share screen so I can show pictures and stuff. I'm not sure on the computer I have a file of all my different film and TV work that I could share screen with and show,
Oh, sure.
shot of me as Screech's guru on Saved by the Bell, or
Right.
Twilight Zone movie with John Lithgow, or with Clint Eastwood and Pale Rider. But most people are interested in knowing the Back to the Future Part 2 and 3 story where I took over as George McFly.
And honestly, I mean, if you can just, I wonder if you could just turn the phone, honestly, and yeah, because
There's my inbox. There you are.
Yeah, I mean that works.
I don't know why the invite didn't work on the computer, because it would have been so much easier.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. We've only ever done the phone, so yeah, I have no help. I'm no help on that one.
Damn it! All right, so I'll bring up pictures from time to time and turn the phone around, and I can go like this.
Sure.
I don't know. I can't see what you're seeing, but hopefully you're seeing. You know.
Probably need to pull back a little bit on those. Oh,
Uh,
you're fine. You're fine. Yeah, one for the computer.
oh, there we go.
Yeah, there we go. And who's this gentleman?
That's 77-year-old George McFly. You may not recognize him because he's upright.
Right.
Uh, and so in part two, I played 17-year-old and 77-year-old George, and in part three, 47-year-old George in a very quick scene near the end. Yeah, because they couldn't work out a contract with Crispin, and I was kind of told, because they didn't know whether they had Crispin or not when I came on board and auditioned and did a screen test and all. They were telling me I was going to be his photo double or stand-in, and since I had done a film with him in '83 before he did the first Back to the Future film at the American Film Institute, I had his number, so I called him. I said, "Crispin, say a good word for me. I could use the work." And he didn't call back until after part three came out, and he wanted to sue for use of his makeup, for his likeness in the makeups. But anyway, yeah, it's funny when I tell people, I get sort of a weird reaction. Some people say, "No, you weren't George," and I was like, "Yeah, I was," and others, "Oh, you're the fake George," or
Oh,
others will go. They'll say, "Hey, oh yeah, I recognize you," and I'm like, "No,
do you
I had
though? Yeah.
4 hours of makeup every day I worked on
Oh,
that film.
jeez.
I didn't have my own face, but I get to do these like far out scenes being a part of this Back to the Future family like this. I'm going to turn it
Yeah.
back over and see if you can see this photo. Is that working?
Yeah. Pull back just a hair,
All right. How's that?
and then down to the right a little bit. That's
Am I right?
or other way. Sorry, I think we're probably flipped.
I could probably look at it by going up here, and I can't even see what I'm showing you. Okay, there we go. So
Oh,
this was
the whole
a
group.
shot from 2015. Oh, brother, I'll just tell you what it is. The reunion we did in one of the anniversary years in London at the Comic-Con.
Oh, wow.
And in that picture is, James Tolkien and Mark McClure, Chris Lloyd and Mike Fox and Leah Thompson and Ricky Dean Logan, part of, the Hoverboard Gang.
Right.
And of course, Don Folove and Claudia Wells and Harry Waters Jr. Anyway, we all went over there for a cast reunion. Jason Joyner, who runs that London Film and Comic-Con, is a huge fan. And over the years, been very good to me, bringing me over for his other shows. And he also handles a lot of the Doctor Who actors. And at the Gallifrey One convention for Doctor Who, I ran into him and he said, "Jeffrey, I want to do a reunion for this anniversary year. How do I get Mike Fox to come?" And I said, "Well, I'll write him and tell him how good you have treated me." And he said, "I want Tom Wilson too." And so I wrote Tom also and said, "These have been treated very well." And it turns out, because before that, Mike did no conventions at all. He showed up unannounced at our very first one in, I think it was 2008, because he was doing a book tour and he happened to be in Los Angeles for that. And he showed up on the Sunday where there were about 20, more than 24 of the cast and the crew at this Hollywood show. And it was a really cool celebration of the Back to the Future trilogy. And Mike comes in unannounced and complete mayhem happens. And it was the first time a lot of us had seen the effects of his Parkinson's on his body. So it was really tearing us all up. We had, as soon as he arrived, like a half an hour just to hang with him and talk and get caught up a little bit. But you could see the disease kind of making him move because it was painful or whatever. And I think, Leah and Claudia and Mark and I and Chris and James, we were hurting for him. It was really painful for us to see, because a lot of us hadn't seen him since we were in production.
Yeah, right.
Back in 88, 89. Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
It's like how bittersweet. Michael J. Fox shows up unannounced, and
he's still Mike. If everyone who's ever worked with him or met him know what a friggin' amazing guy he is. He's got a great personality. He's got a great sense of humor. He's the first one to make fun of himself, you
I
know.
noticed that yeah, a lot.
Yeah, he's got this big heart and highly intelligent and great businessman, and you know, he's still there, you know, mentally and all. It's just the ravages of the disease that's heartbreaking so much. And can't wait to see this documentary that's coming out, you know, next month.
I didn't know there was one coming out. There's actually, I feel like there's always someone trying to do something Back to the Future. Guilty, but
Yeah.
what's the one next month? What is it?
uh, it's Mike's life story
Oh
and his
wow.
struggle, and it's on Apple TV. You'll see it just all over the internet.
Yeah.
Just Google. I think it's called Mike or Alive or I'm Alive. I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, we
Whatever the
could probably
title is.
just probably Google Apple TV Michael J. Fox documentary. I'm sure
It'll
it'll
come
pop
up
up.
right away. And it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
It'll break your heart, I'm sure.
Well, good.
All of our
Yeah,
hearts.
it's. Did you see the Val Kilmer documentary on Amazon?
No, no,
It feels maybe like the same vibe, where it's he actually carried around a camcorder forever since he was in his teens,
wow.
and there's a ton of amazing behind the scenes footage, and then his son is reading his diary notes, whatever. He's narrating it as Val Kilmer, so you get to see this footage from the 80s, hand cam, him in a mirror, him with other actors, and then there's still a narration, and his son kind of sounds like him. So it's really wild to watch, and it brings you to present day, and then the air is just sucked out of the room because it is so depressing. It's, he can't speak.
Oh no, it's that debilitating. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I wanted to go down and see him. He was workshopping his Mark Twain solo show.
And that's in there. That was what he was.
And
exactly it. It was. I didn't know anything about it because he did.
So I wanted to see what he does.
Oh yeah, he did. I think he had it written. He kind of workshopped it, got great responses, and then hit the road. And I think he just had a couple dates. I might be getting that wrong. I think he did a couple dates, and that's all he could do. That was it. And it was getting huge responses. And he said it was selling out, probably because it's him. But then the reaction was incredible. So he was hilarious. And
I knew there must have been something wrong because in the Top Gun movie. He had a supporting main role actually in that, and he just did. It wasn't fully him. You could tell something had diminished.
Even in the movie, he was typing. It's kind of like they wrote it in almost that he couldn't deliver his lines, but then I think they gave him, spoiler alert, there's a line that Val Kilmer says, not spoiler, but they get him to say a line or two at the end, and it's to show that he's this upset with Tom Cruise, and he gets a line out. And if you saw the documentary, it's that I don't know if he's gone through therapy to get that voice, or if it wasn't his, because he was almost, you could barely understand what he's even saying. It was like, I don't know if it was a trach or it was just something post surgery, but you couldn't understand what he was saying half the time. So I'm hoping, because he looked a lot better in Top Gun. He sounded a lot better if it was him in Top Gun. So I'm hoping that was all him. But yeah, that's another documentary it's great to watch. It's because the behind the scenes stuff and like the grainy camcorder footage with the date on the bottom. I'm a 90s kid, so I'm like, that was 15 years of my life watching stuff like that. So, I mean, I first saw Back to the Future on a VHS. Yeah, it's a must watch. It was really good.
Did you see that about a half a year ago, Tom Wilson put up to auction his unopened VHS of Back to the Future?
No, what did it sell for?
It sold for $75,000.
That's awesome.
I was thinking, I was given some of Tom's and Crispin's and Leah's screen tests, the makeup tests, lighting tests, and they, Bob Gale and Bob Zemeckis and Neil Canton, they said, go study these, get Crispin performance down because you're replacing him. And he told me at the last minute, and I was like, I have time to watch these, okay. And it was good because I got, to see and get in my body his center of gravity and his delivery and pacing and all that stuff, to recreate scenes. But the footage is unreal. That VHS I think is invaluable. It has one test where Tom and Crispin are side by side doing their old age makeup test.
Oh, cool.
And Tom is kind of like improvising, and he says, "McFly, what is that? Some Irish bug?" So you see him come up with a line that later made it to the
Oh
movie,
man,
and
that's great.
Leah and Crispin doing all these just hours of improvising around the dinner table, and I think
Oh yeah.
one of the producers' nephew is playing Marty, and there's some really fun moments. You see them bickering and being really banal. But it's real fun. I just recently, in fact, sent Leah a copy of it so she would have it in her
Oh
archives.
cool.
And she wrote me back and said, "I can't believe I've never seen any of this." And I was like, "Yeah,
Oh my
I'm good for
God.
something."
I'm a big convention goer, so I got to meet Chris Lloyd, Tom Wilson, Leah, and then Billy Zane came through. That was pretty
Nice.
cool. I
Billy's
got them all to
a cool
do.
guy. When we were shooting, remaking the fight out in the parking lot outside of the Enchantment Under the Sea dance, when they would do coverage of Strickland's office or Michael doubling himself, or all that
Oh yeah.
coverage, I just go and hang with Billy. Billy and I have similar music tastes,
Oh
and
cool.
I DJ'd all in the early '80s clubs in Hollywood and elsewhere, and I brought one of my mix tapes, and Billy had a player, and so we just hung out in his trailer and listened to music. And Billy knew the lyrics
Cool.
of every song I had. I was like, wow, he's a musicologist just like me.
Nice.
That was cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, he was a good guy. He was the one who said, I think Leo was in love with Crispin. I said, well, when you work together for so long and the talent's so high, there could be great affection, great bonding. And it kind of makes sense. They had the luxury of probably rehearsing a month or two before they went into production with Eric
Oh.
Stoltz, and then they
Oh
had
right, right.
another 8 weeks or so to work with Eric. So by the time Mike Fox finally became available and got on the set, they knew their characters inside and out and everyone's timing.
Right.
And Mike is such a pro. His formula just plugged right into that script. It was beautiful.
Do you know, being having been there, was Stoltz just not
Hi, Marie.
capturing the directors or whomever, or was it just is just not a good fit?
Eric and I used to go up against each other on projects. He and I both screen tested for the role of David in War Games,
Okay.
and then I actually went up on Mask, um,
Oh,
and I didn't. That's a funny story because I didn't know it was a facial tumor. The Bogdanovich told me it was just a brain tumor. And I was like, okay, and so I played that, and little did I know, I actually knew when I was going to the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco. I managed this Victorian up there on Haight Street, and this biker chick and her old man who were making crystal meth in the bathtub in the back flat. She showed me pictures of her late son. One had died of AIDS, and the other one had died of this terrible facial tumor, and it was Rocky. And this was Rusty, who Cher played in the movie. So I actually knew the real
oh
mom
wow.
of Rocky. I wish I had put that all together, when I auditioned for the thing. But nonetheless, I got once to meet Eric when he was dating one of the stars of Friends, and she was in an Irish band at a pub. And I sat down and I said, Eric, back in '82 when we were screen testing for War Games with Ali Sheedy, were you and she an item? Because in my test with Ali, she kept looking through me, and I was like,
Mhm.
why am I not catching her eye and stuff? And there was Eric in the corner of the soundstage watching. I was like, So, all right, that was '82. Flash forward to whatever it was, '99. And he said, what year was it? I said, '82. He says, yeah, we were living together. So they were an item, and she was, I think, playing for him to get the role. Neither of us, of course, got it. Matthew Broderick did. But nonetheless, I think because Eric was a very method actor in like staying in character. There are a lot of actors like Sean Penn and others who want to stay in character on the set and sometimes even off the set to maintain
Sure.
the character, so you don't have to stretch to drop in or whatever they're using, their technique that works for them. I respect. And I think some people were thrown maybe or put off by needing to call him Marty all the time,
Oh,
or to address him in character. There's stories out there that Tom tells and Leah tells, and others say that yeah, he really hit me when there was the fight with
oh,
Biff and Bart, or uh, he Claudia tells one where he called her house and her mother answered, and he said, "May I speak with Jennifer?" And Claudia's mom almost put Claudia's sister, who's named Jennifer, on the phone with him, but he was, as Marty calling
right.
for Jennifer Parker. Anyway, Eric, and it's interesting because Crispin also kind of lives his characters. You see, like the character he did on Letterman, he really lived that character for him. He denied for years that it was him, even. It's just interesting period of acting with actors, like Andy
Oh,
Kaufman,
yeah, Andy Kaufman.
being in character so deeply or creating these alter egos and stuff. It's kind of performance art. And
Tony Clifton,
yeah,
big
it's
Andy fan.
fun. It's fun. It also gets them into terrible trouble.
Right. Yeah, fighting girls.
Getting kicked off shows,
Yeah.
Letterman kicked his butt right out of there.
Yeah, Jerry Lawler, right? Didn't he crack him one, knock him over? Yeah.
Yeah, well, but anyway, I feel very blessed. It was a mixed blessing, of course, because here I was friendly and respectful to Crispin, not knowing why he didn't come to do the role. I thought he had a part in another film he couldn't get out of. And, then later on, learning the whole debacle with not giving his permission to use his likeness in my makeups, and then him getting very little money for reuse of footage that they were cutting in with my work.
Right.
It was kind of a mess, and I was stuck having to play both sides, the producers and Crispin. And in the end, it's their mess. I was kind of stuck in the middle and
Right.
a pawn used by both sides. So I'm just happy that I get this from time to time recognition for the work of being in, gosh, it's one of the top 10 trilogies of all time. And so I pinch myself
Well,
to have
I might call
that
that top. I might call it top three.
Yeah,
I mean,
go.
yeah,
I don't know. You haven't seen the Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3
I don't
yet.
see. I love a Marvel movie. I really enjoy the Guardians movies. I love Dave Bautista, but I just can't.
Oh.
I mean, what's Indiana Jones is up there. The original Star Wars is up there. Back to the Future. I mean, what's another one that could be considered? I don't know that one
Matrix.
touches. I don't know. I don't think Matrix comes close. I think the first installment's really good, but as a trilogy,
Lord of the Rings.
that could be up there. I don't think it beats Back to the Future at all, but that's up there. Yeah, it's a good call. That's a good one. But then it's like, well, what? There's so many movies now. Is that even a trilogy anymore? I mean, there's gonna be Guardians 4. Is that no longer a trilogy now?
And Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars. There's 15,
Well,
so it's like,
and people have been clamoring for a Back to the Future 4 for years. I mean, seriously, I've got
no doubt
fan versions of Back to the Future 4 from 25, 30 years ago. They were writing them already, and sending me excerpts or the full version, or they were printed in the Hill Valley, whatever it was called, the Telegraph, which was the fan newspaper, the fan club.
oh, cool.
But in a way, Part 4 is the musical.
Oh, okay.
It's going to Broadway. It was fantastic. I got to see it in London, and it's just wonderful.
Oh, that's
it's absolutely wonderful. And it's not the original story quite. It's a lot of the original story, but also different, and also with music that is really great. And no spoilers. I recommend seeing it.
Did you ever see any of Tom Wilson's stand-up, his musical stand-up? Did you hear the questions where it's just all the questions he's got over the years? And I love when he's like, Back to the Future 4 not happening, and it's great. Yeah, I got to meet.
We bonded in that we worked really hard, and during production, Tom's wife, Mike's wife, and my wife at the time all had baby boys, gave birth while we were in production within a few weeks
cool.
of each other.
Wow.
Yeah, it's as if we weren't stressed enough.
Yeah. I got to do we did some traveling years ago and we ended up in California. So I was on a mission to do filming locations, try to see as much Back to the Future as I could. So I got to do Marty's like the McFly house
Oh,
with the
nice.
tower in the back. We got dirty looks from the current owners, and it looked like maybe you could confirm. It looked like that street was actually it really was the where we're going. We don't need roads. Was that the same road as right in front of his house? It
It
looked
looks,
exactly the same, but I'm sure
uh,
a lot of roads look like that.
yeah, that looks like the one that we shot at that, or
Yeah.
kind of might have been the tree line place in front of Lorraine's place.
Okay. I didn't get
Was
to
it? Oh
Lorraine's
no,
place.
it's supposed to be 85. So yeah, it probably was I think it was in Atwater, not Atwater, 14. Anyway, the McFly home. I got a photograph here of us in front of it. Here's one real
Oh,
quick. Let's
cool.
see if I can show. Is that going on?
Yeah. Pull back a little
Uh,
more.
Okay.
Oh, is that a dummy in like a test
Yeah,
run?
that is my
Cool.
hang-in. I finally got
Oh man.
taken down. They didn't like taking me down from the ortholev because it took a lot of time.
Oh,
So
okay.
they built this. The guys from ILM put a board on the top of a ladder and would tell me to do a sit up and slide it under me, and I'd lie back
All right.
and rest there, and everyone would go off and have a coffee break or whatever.
And you can lay on a board. That sounds right.
And it was pretty rough, you know. Those shooting days, we were from the the front door of the McFly house, getting through the living room and the dining room and into the kitchen. Um, Better part of 6 days, 7 days to shoot it all. But
Oh my
most of those days
God.
were 19, 21, 23. We even had a 26-hour long day. And most of that hanging upside down. It was for that little bit that I'm
Right.
there. So I got my script out. You know, it was called Paradox Part 2 and Part 3. And I was looking at those scenes in particular. And they're in Hollywood scripts, when there's a rewrite, they change the color of the paper.
Okay.
So that scene in particular, where the pizza comes out in 4 seconds,
Yeah.
it's like a rainbow. There were so many different
Oh my
versions
God.
of that because they didn't know if they had Crispin. They didn't know what they were going to do. In one
Right.
version, Marty's in the ortholev hanging upside down.
I think I read that somewhere. That's wild.
Yeah,
Do you know the story? Do you know why
his
that would have
back,
been?
he'd thrown his back out playing squash. I think the script said that. So it was really interesting. I was probably one of the last actors to get the script before going into production, because I came in the 11th hour. You know,
Right.
do we have Crispin? Do we have it until the last minute, whatever? And so my script probably had the most rewrites, at least in Part 2 and whatever
Sure.
was going on for Part 3 shoots. So it's pretty cool to go back and look at that. I've got a. I wonder if I should show the footage. There's
I'm gonna say
a short,
hell yes.
a short video of me getting into makeup from the.
Cool.
It was cut from the making of Part 2 documentary.
Cutting room floor stuff. Bring it on.
Yeah, let me see if I can get it to full screen here and get it framed right. And see what I'm not sure. See what you're seeing here. All right, I'll just start this.
Yeah, I can maybe I can guide you if we can't.
Can you see it?
Yeah, that's pretty good. If you go down just a hair,
How's that?
that's pretty good. Yeah, that's real good.
So this is Sonny Berman and Nancy Vasta gluing me in. Leah's in the next chair. And Sonny Berman of the famous Berman Brothers. Mike Mills is working on Leah with Kenny Myers. Mike Mills was the foreman on Beetlejuice.
Oh, no
Kenny
way.
was very famous makeup artist, along with Marvin Westmore. We had Zoltan and his wife. We had really all these legends applying Ken Chase's makeup designs. So like I said, I think they got it down to 3.5 hours if they were really in a rush, but it was generally 4 hours
just to apply the makeup.
Jeez.
And then another hour at the end of a long shoot day to take it off.
Were you supposed to be just a stand-in originally, and then all these things happened, and you were kind of bumped up to the
Yeah,
role?
it was kind of. I think it was their way of keeping me on the hook without having to promise me anything, because they were hoping that at the 11th hour that they'd get Crispin, you know.
Right.
And that's before being painted. After working on me for a couple hours, I would, go have a breakfast burrito and come back and get painted.
Have you ever heard of a newer horror movie series called Terrifier?
No.
Before you have paint, it looks exactly like this clown killer guy from Terrifier. It's worth a Google later, but
Yeah, I always thought it looked like Freddy Krueger.
I can't even tell. Is this all you?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Man. Woo, that's cool.
There you are.
That is awesome.
Well,
Thanks for that.
Sure.
My friends who didn't make it tonight are going to be pissed off. I know some people in here are big. I know some of the people coming through, obviously, and they're Back to the Future fans. I hope everybody got to see that like I just did, and
Yeah,
that
are
is
you
awesome.
able to? I'm not sure that I can scroll the comments. Are there any questions? Can you see?
There weren't. I'm just trying to scroll a little bit. A lot of hellos and greetings and things. There might have been some early on, but yeah, someone said, "Oh, a kiss with Leah Thompson." That's what I was thinking. But yeah, I got to go to LA. Did the McFly House. We did Doc's Mansion, which is I think it's is it an arts and crafts gallery or museum now, I think.
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Some Uber fan friends of mine got married there with their time machine DeLorean
cool.
and everything, and
I
in fact helped them with a couple of different things that they had going on. I have right here Andrew Wells, the groom. He helped with the We're Going Back fan event to raise money for Team Fox, and designed this cap. I just happen to have.
Oh, cool.
It's a pretty nice one.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, my buddy, the Gamble House.
The Gamble House, right?
That's too
What a
cool.
beautiful place.
And then his garage, which is, I didn't make it inside Gamble, but the garage that's used in the movie, right, 50 feet away from the house, was a bookstore when I was there. This is 10 years ago. So I was excited I actually got to go into Doc's garage. And I still brag about that. But then there was
my hair long right now because I have a Doc Brown gig coming.
Really?
Yeah.
You're all over the place.
Great Scott! I've got to work.
We got to see Biff's Ford on a Universal tour, and then we got to go to Hill Valley. I didn't know that was, movie magic. I didn't know that was just a back lot that how many things get filmed there. They were showing just clips of 100. I mean, it's just constantly getting filmed, and I thought it was cool that they could just take one of the storefronts, convert it to whatever they needed, and that's the episode of Mindy Kaling's show, or what I think that was filming when we were there, or the steps for Ben Stiller and Mystery Men, or this guy's music video. It was just everything. And then you kind of take a second and you're like, oh, I'm right in front of the diner. Like, you can see yourself. I'm like grabbing my wife's arm. We're right in front of the diner. She's like, what diner? I'm like, never mind, I'll explain later. I'm like, that means, I'm like, well, where's the clock? And I didn't know they also reface the central building for whatever is shooting. And I guess they're never going to take down, I heard someone there say they're never going to remove the Back to the Future part of that building, they'll only build in front of it. So if you were to take off all of that, you'd find the clock
It's
tower. I thought that was pretty awesome.
got landmark status or something.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It has burned. I believe it burned in the late 80s. There've been a couple of Universal fires that were terrible. And I remember when the ride was there, I worked on the tour as different characters, Stan Laurel and Charlie Chaplin and Groucho Marx. And in front of the Back to the Future ride, they had the DeLorean time machine and Biff's car. And I would call management and say, you've got to cover that Biff's car. It's getting rained on, you know.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, those were back in the late 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Hey, Simon. Hey, Mauricia. Wonderful actress, friend of mine. Mauricia's watching. Yay.
Oh, cool. Hi, Mauricia.
DeLorean Ride says, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Is that you, Chris? Good.
I think they're talking about you.
I'm blushing. So I just finished a 5-week run on stage. You know, the pandemic kind of kept me from doing a lot of things. I did shoot a couple of independent films. But I got back on stage in a production of Clue with a top-notch cast, and I closed it just Sunday this week. And
cool.
I'm still kind of glowing from this 5-week run. And then next, as I mentioned, I'm going to LA for a Doc Brown gig, but before that, shooting a film during the American Graffiti Days in the North Bay.
Oh, cool.
And then I've got the Scarecrow and Mrs. King 40th anniversary reunion coming up later this year in early fall in LA. So I'm, just trying to stay busy. If you have anyone here watching has a Comic-Con or show, that toy show or whatever that needs a celeb, write me. Jeffrey needs appearances.
There's a ton of shows here all the time. Maybe I'll email them to you when we're done, but there's one every few weeks in Pittsburgh anymore. I'm kind of proud. It didn't used to be that way.
Yeah,
and now
I thought I was going, a couple years back was asked by one of the VIP CEOs of, what's the big show? Wizard World.
Oh, yeah.
To do a 10-city tour, and Pittsburgh was one of them.
Yeah, the Steel City Con is huge. It used to be a medium-sized, very cool place to go, and ownership changed, and it exploded. It was, William Shatner, Christopher Lloyd, Chevy Chase. I mean, everybody's coming through. They really revamped it to where they had to add an additional building, so they outgrew a convention center.
It'd
be awesome.
Yeah.
And then my buddy just chimed in. We're going to there's another con right outside of Pittsburgh. So even right outside of Pittsburgh, there's still a bunch. Waynesburg, and then right inside Ohio, there's like the Greater Ohio. I think it's in Columbus Convention, Altoona, Pennsylvania. So we're nerdy enough to just keep these things, and they're always busy. They're always selling out. They're always hotels are booked up.
I made an appearance at the Sci-Fi Valley Comic-Con in Altoona.
That's where we're going in a couple weeks.
That was a great show.
Oh
really
man, we only heard of it last year, and it turned into, we loved it so much. And there's a golf trip the day after. We're like, we're doing this every year, but this is only year 2 coming up. Oh man, what a bummer! I would have been there with bells on. I would have had you sign my hoverboard.
We had Harry Waters Jr. and Don Full of Love. It was a fun show.
Oh, that's a real bummer.
I think it's time. Yeah, I think it's time I go back.
Yeah, hell yeah, for sure. You know what we'll do? Just come hang out, and we'll just go to a con. We'll just walk around. I'll bring a little table. We'll just set up in the corner. No one. I'll
bring a little Pizza Hut pizza to hydrate.
That's great. Here's the only prop is I had to have one, but I made it a real board. So ironically, I didn't time this, but we try to cosplay a little bit when we go to these cons, and Altoona is so big and open. I'm like, I kind of want to skate around on a hoverboard, so I'm going as Marty McFly 2015.
Nice.
So of course I had to. When you have to, if you're going to do it, you got to do it right.
Oh,
Yeah,
you got the tennis shoes and everything. Great.
Have
to. This is a shot of me hoverboarding. I don't know if you can see this. You have.
Is that reading?
Yeah, pull back a hair and then down to the left a little bit.
How's
There it
that?
is. Yeah. Oh, cool.
So that at one of the We're Going Back events, we took over the town of Fillmore, California, and the original stunt coordinator came out with a couple cranes with hoverboards attached to them, and you could hoverboard around the town square.
Oh
And
my
then,
God.
if you had a friend who was good with Adobe Photoshop, you
Oh,
just erase the wires, and it looks like I'm hoverboarding.
too cool. Oh man, that's great. Yeah, you have to come up here. Where are you? You said West Coast.
Yeah, where am I? I'm currently I'm up in the mountains near Yosemite,
Oh, cool. Okay.
and trying to think. My next project, I'm actually playing a character driving a DeLorean. Um, with I can't tell more of the story, but it's going to be a nice science fiction piece. Uh,
Awesome.
and then I just finished a film called Siblings, where I play a very badly behaved father of very badly behaved children, and it's a dark comedy, and it should be a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine wants to know your exact address, please.
Okay. Uh, oh,
PO boxes don't count. Yeah.
51223 Main Street, uh, Cucamonga.
There
Uh,
you go. Keith, head
no,
over there.
no, I'm the show I just finished. It was in historic Columbia in California, in the foothills, where gold was a
Oh wow.
huge load of gold was discovered in 1850, and I've been trained now as a docent in the state park rather there, and so I'm going to start giving tours as Mark
Oh,
Twain.
a little ode to Val there then, huh? Val
Yeah,
Kilmer.
yeah, yeah. I wanted to see his show. I wanted to see what his Twain, how it was. So I'll look for that documentary if there's some footage of it.
Yeah, and I
And
think it was an Amazon original. So yeah, it's definitely on Amazon.
far out.
So
Thank
what? So I'm sure there's a million questions people have because this Back to the Future isn't just a
you. They just
movie. It's not
want
just
my
a
address.
series
I
of
say
movies.
if you
Yeah.
Kiefer X Man Min, if you want my address, you have to write me through my website jeffreyweissman.com and buy a photo. How's that? And then
Bingo.
you'll get my address on the
You get
return
the return
envelope.
address. Yeah. And you better send a thank you card, Keith, when you get it. But if anybody has any questions, this might be a perfect little opportunity. If you guys can shoot them in real quick. I mean, I don't want to have too much dead air,
All right.
but we used to play this game. Keith was in a group of us, and one of us would have a movie on. I had Back to the Future on, and we've watched it so many times since childhood that whoever was watching, so in this case I was watching, and I'd go, in the first movie, when Doc Brown has his model set up, and he's about to start the car and show Marty how that works, what instrument's hanging on the back wall? And it would be
Oh,
like, it was just so many little pieces of trivia that have a lot of times had nothing to do with the movie. It was just background or extras work or any little thing that was visible. But
so
that was one I remember. I
so
remember the
wasn't the
answer.
guitar?
It wasn't a
Wasn't the
guitar.
guitar hanging?
Nope.
Wasn't the
Because it
guitar?
was, if it helps, it was Doc's garage, so it wasn't a guitar.
But it was an instrument.
It was an instrument.
What does Doc play? Not the violin. Um, huh.
Kind of works. Whoever put it on the wall, it works. I can see it in my head him
An
playing it.
accordion.
Very good guess. It's a saxophone.
Saxophone. Okay.
There's a saxophone just sitting. I'm like, all right, true or false? There's a canoe hanging from the roof, and it was just that. So it wasn't even just. Boy, I like sitting here watching it. It was we were like dissecting it and
Details.
yeah, all the little
Oh,
stuff.
I love on YouTube. There are a couple fans who've taken the time to position part one footage next to part two footage, all the flashback stuff, and to see where things they got wrong. I mean, people
Oh
got a
yeah,
lot of time on their hands to do that stuff.
right.
And I get people criticizing all the time. Even Crispin now is saying, I didn't care for his performance. I'm like, Crispin, if you don't like the performance, you should have done it yourself, goddammit.
Ah,
It was
yeah.
being handed to you. Anyway,
Too little, too late.
I'm
For
what I'm
sure.
happy about is to kind of be sort of the glue
that kind of held it at least together, because I still, to this day, as I mentioned, have fans come up and say, "No, you weren't George."
Right.
I was like, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
was. I'm doing some
You're like,
magic."
technically, I have more movies than Crispin does as George, right? Because you had
Isn't
2 and 3,
that is
right?
weird. No,
Did,
I
did he pull? Did they pull
does he
him out
play?
of 3 completely?
I think no. He's I'm in 3. He's not.
Yeah.
But he's in 1 and 2, and I'm in 2
Oh,
and
he does
3.
have in 2.
But
Okay, I thought he was only in
does he
1.
does he
Okay.
play George in Hot Tub Time Machine?
No, no, he plays
Oh,
an amputee
oh
bellhop.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
George in an
yeah.
alternate timeline. No, I'm just kidding. Never mind.
You can't just blow my head up like that. Did you ever hear any fan theories? You
Oh
said you have
yeah.
the fans always come at you. Do
Oh
you have
yeah.
any favorites? Because we had a couple that we were like, man, someone did, like you said, someone had a lot of time and just pieced these things together. And some of them were like a little eerie how much sense they made.
Well, some of the things that I'm in part of the theory of why George is hanging upside down is to obscure that it's not Crispin. Well, no, they always, if they're going to have him, we're going to hang
Right.
him upside down, whether or not it was someone else, because apparently on the first film he didn't always hit his marks, and
Huh.
for camera, for focus,
Right.
and the two Bobs figured they could control his movements and keep him in frame and in focus by hanging him upside
Jeez.
down on this rail. And while we were shooting, one guy said, all this was meant for Crispin to torture him, and I was like, oh God. So, but let's see, one of the legends that I'm it's not a big deal, but when I come in as old George at age 77, 2015 at the front door, I say to Marlene, how's Granddad's little
Right.
pumpkin? And that wasn't in the script, but when we were rehearsing, I couldn't get over that they put Mike Fox as Marlene in these
Right.
orange hot pants and stuffed his
And that's where it
butt.
came from, the pumpkin?
Yeah, it looked like a pumpkin butt to me. And so last year I went to Italy for StarCon, and I talked about this there, and in Italian it didn't translate as Grandpa's little pumpkin. It translated, how's Granddad's little pigeon, or bird or something. I was like, no, there goes the joke.
Right.
So,
Could you give us any of your lines?
any of my lines?
Yeah.
What you might want to give your fans a treasure hunt. Go look for the bonus material and the pizza scene, and I do my best Crispin laugh impression when Lorraine asks George to rotate his axis for pizza.
All right. Is it probably pretty easy to find on YouTube or something?
It is.
All right.
It's bonus material. It's on the DVDs. It's called Pizza.
Cool.
There you are. There you have it. I just hope that the Michael J. Fox Parkinson's Research Foundation will do an event around the trilogy, because the fans would go nuts to see
Sure.
as many of the stars from those 3 films unite and raise money for his cause. I think that's
Absolutely.
and he hasn't done that yet. We've done fan mostly sponsored ones, right. And also, coming up in the second week of September is a Team Fox event to celebrate part 3 near where they shot the film, or they did shoot part of it in Sonora,
cool.
in Columbia and Jamestown. So that's called Back to 1885, which had gone on in 2018, 2019, was really successful, especially for the fans, because they got to play cowboy
Right.
for the week and then meet some of the celebs and cast and crew members. Good times. Really.
Oh, I bet.
And the people who produce it are just salt of the earth, wonderful Terry and Oliver Holler, who met over their love of Back to the Future. And they built...
I think I did, now that you say it like that, I think I did see part of this. The couple, yeah.
Yeah, they built their own time machine DeLorean,
Yep.
and they've raised over $1 million for the foundation.
Too cool.
Really great
Cool.
people.
Hey, everyone in here should probably just go. I'm sure there's a link. You can Google it and donate to, what was it called? Is charity?
Team Fox?
Team Fox, that's right.
Yeah, and if
everybody,
you
go.
have enough money for them, donate to me next.
And me. we all accept donations in many different forms. So quick story, when I got to meet Billy Zane, um, I was obsessed with this whole room. It's not well lit, but it's just posters, props, memorabilia, toys, anything I can come up with. But they made that really cool vintage style reaction Back to the Future toy line. I think they even made some for the second movie recently, like the past year or two. So like they had, this kind of stuff. I mean, it's like
Oh yeah,
the old school, like 5 points of articulation, like the big colorful card.
the Funko.
Yeah, exactly. And they're always like $10. So I was in love with these. So I got Biff had his own, Chris Lloyd had his own, but there wasn't a Billy Zane match.
No.
So I just decided to make one for him. And I even
Oh,
included like a little be
what?
like match. So there's a toothpick in here.
Did you 3D print that or something?
No, so I wanted to keep this so it matched Chris Lloyd's and the Biff character. So I just took the card and I repainted, like looking at the movie, whatever. This is probably, I don't know if this is Biff. Yeah, so the figure is Biff, just repainted to match whatever Billy Zane was wearing. And then I just printed off some stickers. Like this was at that con I was telling you about, so it looks like it was some con exclusive. But yeah, I just drew up
So
Be Like Match with the free toothpick.
Painted the Biff and
Yeah.
and you got Billy to sign it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it was awesome because he was like looking at the picture and he goes, "You couldn't find a thinner picture of me?" I was like, "I sorry, I mean it's straight from the movie. I don't know what to tell you." And
So vain.
and then Leah came in and I was like, "Well, I have the other three done. I got to do something different for her."
Oh no.
So I did get to make a little Lorraine. Tried matching her outfit, but then it's sponsored by Calvin Klein, and there's a little pair of purple underwear in there for her too.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's
So I think I even
incredible.
I
So
put,
who did you?
so
who did you
Lorraine
modify?
with Marty's underwear.
Nice.
This one I think it was actually Sarah Connor from Terminator. Because something with I didn't want to just be sitting here whittling away, so I think I changed her hair a little bit and painted a little something. But
And she wouldn't mind. I did a show with her, and she was delightful.
she was great. I think her sister was like her handler, like her assistant on site. So those two were just having a great time.
Yeah.
It was really
Leah's sister. I was talking about
Oh yeah.
Connor. Anyway,
I don't think she'll mind.
so you got to do one for me now because the Funko George McFly doesn't look like Crispin and doesn't look like me. Doesn't look like
Sold. Yeah. Absolutely. So I'll make you a deal. I'll make you one for you to put on your shelf if you can sign one and send it back.
it's a deal.
Nice.
Sold.
Sold.
Had a Brad Fife, who's a uber fan of all things cinema. He went ahead and made one for me since I didn't have one for old George to see if I could.
Oh yeah.
I think I. Can you see it?
Oh yeah. Well done. Oh man.
Oh,
That's great.
I was totally wowed when he presented that for me.
Man, I got a lot of thinking to do now. If I can't just put old George, and someone already did the what's the machine called that holds you? The what lev?
The ortho lev.
Ortho lev.
Yeah.
So now I got to think of something else. Great. All right, I'll get on it. I'll think of something. But that was what I was doing for a long time, and it's cool seeing a lot of actors. I tried getting like the figure made for their smallest roles. So like I didn't. For someone to be like, when did you see that movie? Or how did you put all this time into making that? I had one line in that movie. But yeah, there's a ton in this chest over here. I kind of switched to props.
Yeah, you should do that for Wallet Man. What's his wonderful guy, Wesley Mann, who's in part 2. It says, I think he took his wallet.
I think he took his wallet. Yeah.
Yeah. Do that.
Oh man, that'd be great.
Wesley, he'd love it.
Do you know him?
Oh yeah.
Like oh my God. Think he'd ever come on? I have you on. It'd be all three of us.
Sure.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Oh, if he comes on, he gets a figure too. That should just be the rule now. Instant custom action figure if you come on and talk.
I think one of your fans wanted to know what show I did with Linda Hamilton. I think it was Chiller in New Jersey. I remember having a great time with her. She was very sweet, and I have a lovely picture that I'm cheek to cheek with her. She's very sweet. Any other questions or anything before I go?
Anyone? Now's the time. My friend Tony and Kiefer X-Men's brother is probably the biggest Back to the Future fan of all of us, and before there was so much merch, he like built the shoes, the jacket, the board. Yeah, and then then now you can go on any marketplace and be like, oh, I found these shoes. I could find this. I could find that. And a lot of the fans too. When I made this hoverboard, this was a blank deck. I painted it pink, and I kept trying to find good pictures of the real board, but really all I had to do was search, hoverboard art. Someone already had the pictures and drew every square. I mean, it's perfect. And then I redrew just so I could have it in a file that I could stretch and not lose detail. But the fans are crazy. And I also downloaded the whole gang's hoverboards. So someone did all the work. I wish I knew. I could give credit. I'll give credit, guys on Spotify. I'll give credit down below. But someone drew up every board. They even told you how to make the little engine parts for the Pitbull hoverboard, all that stuff. I mean, the fans are nuts, and I'll take credit as an insane fan as well. But Sullivan asked, whatever happened to Warren Summer?
Is that Kevin Sullivan? Here's the hoverboard gang at one of those We're Going Back events.
Oh, too cool.
Jason, Darlene, and Ricky Dean. Yeah, Warren Summer is still around. Is that Kevin? Kevin Sullivan asking that question?
Is that you, Kev?
He's referring to a huge, talented, eccentric gentleman named Warren Summers who was in several improv groups with, most notably LA Theater Sports, which is still in its 36th year as impro theater. And I used to do a lot of improv with Brad Sherwood and Wayne Brady. Whose line is it anyway, guys?
Wow.
Some really great people led by Dan O'Connor for many years, and some of the performers like Warren Summers and myself, kept acting or kept doing comedy and such. Others went into writing, like Sherry Bilsing went into, I think she wrote and co-produced 40 some odd episodes of Friends, and Ellen Idelson created Boy Meets World, and Ellen Byron, and just Ellen Plummer. There just so many of the wonderful people who got their chops in improv, learned storytelling, and became television actors. And now they're all on strike. I wish them well.
On strike. Yeah.
They need to get the money that they deserve. This
Absolutely.
The world's always changing. And, I remember the strike being so devastating in '88, which ended just in time so they could get into production for Back to the Future Part 2.
Jeez.
So been there.
People need paid.
That strike. Yeah. Oh boy, here we are again. But hopefully they'll get the producers to come to a great agreement and carry on harmoniously. We can all keep working.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, if there are no more questions, I don't need to take up any more of your time. This was great.
I got a grandfather who's great. Yeah, he's my great grandfather. And anyway, before I get into worse jokes, thank you for having me on, Chris. If people want to follow me, it's at Jeff JEF Weissman on Twitter. Instagram is at Jeffrey J Weissman. And I've commented or joined. Hopefully, people could just see me there if they want to follow me. And
they should be able to click on here for the Instagram at least. Yeah,
and
sure.
I'll give the announcements for different shows I'm doing, and if you want to get a birthday gift or for your own collection, a signed rare behind the scenes shot, jeffreyweissman.com. You can email me through that homepage or through the social networks.
I can be found. And
Nice.
on Facebook, Jeffrey Weissman actor. My personal page has been at the 5,000 stupid limit of friends for 15 years. So
Rub it in. Jeez. Cool. Well, I appreciate it. This will be on Spotify. The audio goes to Spotify after this.
hello, Spotify.
And they'll get released every Saturday. So this whole thing, there's no need to cut it. It'll just go straight to that platform. And guys, if you're not following already, please give me a follow and go to Spotify and just search for the Celebrity Fanboy. Give me a follow there.
Wow,
And
Back to the Future Argentina is in the house. Wow,
that's the best thing about these.
people
And
from all
sometimes,
over the world.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not global. I'm small time, and you'll see Argentina and greetings from Chile. I'm like, this is great. Absolutely, that's what happens. Back to the Future brings everybody together.
Well, thanks for looking me up, Chris, and I'll see you in the future.
Absolutely. All right, guys.
With an action.
That's right. We'll be in touch.
All right,
Cool.
bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.